Maze Game Part 2. This is the second video for this activity, and it's going to show you how to make a villain sprite and set the villain sprite to move. So we're here on the stage. You can find it under the the component tree here, and I'll go to Add Sprite, and this will be a villain sprite or the villain type. And I've got a choice, a character from another popular video game. We'll get rid of the thunkable beaver. I'm actually going to change the height just so it can navigate through the maze a little bit better. A couple things I want to do. I'll make sure bounce is 100, and that will allow the bounce is what will allow the sprite to move back and forth. And I'm going to set passes through to false because I want it to simply bounce off of any sprite that it comes across. So let's bring our villain type onto the screen, and we'll make sure it's got a recognizable name. This is our first villain, so we'll just call it villain 1. And we'll make sure everything is the same. So we set the parameters for the sprite type, and so each sprite instance has the same parameters. We're going to do some coding real quick. So we're going to create a function that's going to handle the movement, and it'll be called villain1 move. And let's see here. First thing we're going to do is set the direction, the angle to 0. And if you imagine that there's 360 degrees that you can point the sprite towards, and if we're just setting it at 0, it sort of stays the same. So we want it to move left to right. We're going to go under motion, and so we have to grab this one that says set the sprite's x speed to 100 because we want it to move horizontal, right to left. Careful that you don't grab this one where it's just setting the x. So we want to set the x speed for villain 1, and then we'll add the function to our reset function. So when the start button is clicked, our villain should move right to left. And so let's get that. Let's test that out and make sure it works. You can also set your villain obviously to move up and down, so vertically. I'll show you how to do that in a second. But if we're just going right to left, it should look something like this. And it's bouncing off of this the sprite right here, but so it sort of limits the direction it can go. We can make the sprite smaller if we wanted, so that it goes all the way across. We could do some reconfiguring, but this is how far it's going to go for now. So it's going to make it really tricky for our ball to get to the target sprite. All right, so that's a basic part. And if we had wanted to do it differently, we could do this slightly differently. We could set the y speed. So let's see what happens if we do that. Just for kicks. Alrighty, so in this case, our sprite's going to bounce off of the villain sprite's bouncing off of these ones. So you can choose to set whether you want to go right to left or up and down. So that's up to you how you want to do it. We'll actually just, doesn't really matter, we'll set it to X. And that's that part of it.